KIDO Talk Radio, Kevin Miller in the morning. You know, the folks continue to go after our great friend, the president. And the issue here is whether or not we'll continue to defend the president. I think that we will. Joining us now to talk about a new film for Christmas, Trump, The Art of the Insult, is our friend, the filmmaker, Joel Gilbert. Joel, good to have you with us once again.
Great, thanks. Great to be back.
So let's talk about Trump, The Art of the Insult.
All right. Well, this is a new film. It's available now from the website artoftheinsult.com. You can see the trailer. And the street date is only in January, but we're selling it now right from the official website only on DVD for Christmas. This is the film that really chronicles Trump's branding and marketing expertise. The Art of the Insult is the art of branding opponents delivered through performance art. And in this film, you'll see how Trump just is able to manipulate the media and brand his opponents and dispatch everybody through this amazing marketing genius that he executed on the 2016 campaign. People forget that Trump really was not a real estate guy by this point. He'd been in the entertainment business for 30 years. He started with, of course, professional boxing, wrestling, pro football. He had a USFL team, of course, Miss Universe, Miss America, and The Apprentice. So he had seen and done it all when it came to marketing and hype. So he understood how to control the media, control the narrative with very simple concepts. And I think this film really highlights Trump's skill in this effort, and you can really understand him much more than you do now.
Well, Joel, let's take a look at this. The media just does not understand Donald Trump. You got the New York Times story saying that Trump drinks 12 Diet Cokes, watches TV all the time. But the criticism, unlike any other Republican, unlike any other politician, seemed to make him stronger.
Well, not only that, but it really plays into his hands. All those, rallies he did, the Trumpapalooza tour, he'd fly in with his airplane to some airport hangar with 20,000 people waiting 3 and 4 times a day. And when a few protesters started screaming, "Trump is not nice, he's so mean," you'd see him smiling and get all excited. The cameras would turn around. So the protesters and even the media all played into his hands. That kept him in the head of the publicity every single day in the headlines, and they served up about $2 billion worth of free earned media and allowed him to become president. And to this day, they still haven't learned that they're playing into his hands every time they attack him. And Trump was not only good at branding, but of course counterattacking, and it usually had a mix of truth and humor, which made it so effective. You'll remember when Megyn Kelly accused Trump of calling women fat pigs, dogs, and slobs, and he just stole the moment by responding, "Only Rosie O'Donnell," and everybody laughed. And also early in the campaign, when Jorge Ramos from Univision kept interrupting him, and he said, "Go back to Univision," with no apologies afterwards. So you could argue that it was over right there. He really had he'd won the election because he could stand up to the media and stand up to the left, and that's what the electorate wanted.
Joel Gilbert joining us here at KIDO Talk Radio. So what does this mean? The more you attack Donald Trump, the stronger he gets?
Well, the more you play into his hands. I mean, he's a fighter. That's what the public wanted, the Republican base voters. They were tired of all the lies. They were tired of the media lying every day. They were tired of Barack Obama calling Americans racist. They were tired of the fact that Obama came into office promising to cut the deficit in half. Marriage is between a man and a woman and God. I'm going to support Israel. Everything that Obama told people, my father's a goat herder from Kenya, so I'm going to bring everybody together. After a year or two, it was clear that everything about Obama was a lie. A lot of people have seen my other film, Dreams from My Real Father, where I showed that the Kenyan Obama was not Obama's father. That was a lie to cover up the fact that Obama was raised by his real father, who was a Soviet agent, Communist Party propagandist from Chicago. They raised him in Hawaii. And people were just sick of the lies. And the Republican leadership in Congress did nothing to stand up to Obama all those years. Finally, they found someone in Trump who was a fighter. And the more the media attacks Trump, the more he fights back and the more popular he becomes.
Joel Gilbert joining us here, talking about his new movie, The Art of the Insult. when we take a look at the Republicans, they can't seem to handle Trump either.
Well, look, it started in the primaries when you saw him take on everybody. Jeb Bush was the establishment favorite, $120 million, and Trump came up with two words: low energy, and it was over. It didn't matter that he had $120 million. He branded him, and this film, The Art of the Insult, is just hilarious from beginning to end. You'll laugh the entire way through. That's why it's such a good Christmas present, and it's just so much fun to see Trump go toe-to-toe with everybody. Of course, he dispatched all of these guys, Little Marco Rubio, called, of course, Ted Cruz became Lion Ted, even though he was the most honest guy in the world. And it's interesting because I spent a lot of time with Republican base, primary voters around the country screening my other films, and it was very clear to me that a monumental shift had taken place. The grassroots had moved far to the right of the Republican establishment, and Ted Cruz had played a huge role in really conditioning the electorate to desire an outsider. And Ted was the outsider candidate. He was the anti-establishment hero because he's the only one who stood up to Obama with his Obamacare filibuster. He read Green Eggs and Ham on the Senate floor, And I think at the beginning of the campaign, the election was his to lose. I told Cruz this personally. He just had to beat Ted Cruz, be the outsider, the rebel. Mr. Cruz goes to Washington. But Cruz chose a more establishment campaign strategy. He hired an establishment campaign staff. He put up a campaign chairman in every state. Every county of the swing states had their own chairman. So it was a very establishment-style mainstream campaign. He had an office in Houston with 200 cubicles with 200 people sitting there on the phone. So he really tried to go establishment. It was as though he wanted to be Jeb Bush. So Donald Trump came along and said, okay, if you don't want to beat Ted Cruz, I'll beat Ted Cruz. So Ted Cruz, in fact, I would say won the election, but it was in the person of Donald Trump who took on that outsider, drain the swamp persona that the public wanted so badly.
Joel Gilbert joining us here as we move along at KIDO Talk Radio. So, Joel, when we take a look at this movie, what else should we be looking for? What else will really resonate? And, by the way, how can people get your movie?
Okay, well, first of all, go to artoftheinsult.com. Watch the trailer. It's hilarious. And, of course, you can also buy the DVD right there, artoftheinsult.com. Well, when you look at this film, you'll get a lot of insight into Trump. I thought I understood Trump. I studied Trump. I read books about him. I read his books. I followed the campaign every single day. I thought I understood him. But only when I put this film together, you can understand what a kind of a marketing genius he is and the simplicity of his messages. And you'll understand why America fell for this Manhattan billionaire. He delivered from the heart. You could see that he was sincere. Cared about the country, he cares about people, and he would deliver these populist messages 3 and 4 times a day to 20,000 people, just speaking off the cuff for the most part, in a stream of consciousness sometime. And you can understand how a handful of good marketing ideas was able to dominate a presidential campaign. He had 3 guys. It was him, Corey Lewandowski, and one other guy on this giant airplane. Compare that to, Ted Cruz's 200 campaign workers sitting in an office in Houston and massive campaign strategy, ground game. Trump had no ground game. He had no organization whatsoever. So it's an interesting study in how branding and marketing can dominate anything over organization. And the main thing is to really have a good time. It's a hilarious movie, but you'll really get an idea of who Trump is and what motivates him. And I really enjoyed making the film because of that. And again, it's at artoftheinsult.com.
Hey, Joel, how long does it take to put together a documentary? I mean, how long is your documentary, and how many hours and days and weeks went into it?
Well, this was 95 minutes long. The movie is 95 minutes, so on DVD. There are also some good special features. It took, deciding to make a film, researching material for a film. We call that the pre-production. Usually takes 2 or 3 months. And then actually producing and editing a film is another 3 months. So this was about a 6-month project back to back. And I think when you see the trailer and the film, hopefully everyone will appreciate what went into it and get a lot out of it as well.
Now, it's on DVD. Are you going to have it digitally as well? Because everybody's into digital these days.
Correct. The street date is January 23rd, right before the State of the Union. So at that time, it'll be on, streaming Amazon Prime, iTunes, all those places. YouTube has a Google Pay. You have to pay for it, obviously, and as well as DVD. January 23rd, street date. But we are selling the only place you can get it right now, and we are shipping every day, first class mail. So it's plenty of time to get it for Christmas. Got a lot of orders coming in. Usually they're 2, 3, 4, and 5 DVDs at a time. So you can order it. Just ask everybody to check out the trailer at artoftheinsult.com, and you can get the DVD right there.
Well, not only that, but great Christmas present, right? A one-of-a-kind Christmas present.
Oh, it's fantastic, and it's just so much fun to watch it with people. I screened the film for the David Horowitz Freedom Center at the Breakers in West Palm Beach a few weeks ago. Had about 500 people, and it was just wall-to-wall laughter. It's just so much fun watching with a group of people. And even some Democrats had strolled in that were in the hotel, and they loved it also. Now, I'll admit they liked it for different reasons, but it really is 95 minutes of political correctness and fun. My older film, one of my films, Dreams from My Real Father, Democrats would run out of the room screaming after 3 minutes, "I don't want to know, no." But with this movie,
right.
With this movie, they'll stay because it really is a lot of fun.
Well, Joel, we appreciate it, and we'd love to have you back.
Great. Thanks for having me today. Please go to artoftheinsult.com. Thank you.
All right. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
The Democrats in Washington want to grow our welfare rolls that you're going to pay for. They want to grow all sorts of things that you don't want to even think about. I want to grow our employment rolls with great jobs, well-paying jobs, jobs of dignity, jobs where people love waking up in the morning and going to work, and that's happening. So we're going to lift our people from welfare to work, from dependence to independence, and from poverty to prosperity. We will restore hope to our struggling rural communities and to our inner cities where we're making progress. We're making progress. We will build new roads and bridges and tunnels and highways all throughout our land. Factories will come roaring back to life.
And we're already seeing that. President Trump, from his weekend visit to Pensacola, Florida, where he wholeheartedly endorsed Judge Roy Moore. Good morning, Kevin Miller in the morning. You're listening to KIDO Talk Radio on 107.5 FM, 580 AM. In addition to that, you have Donald Trump laying the smackdown, talking about the good things going on. Of course, that isn't being reported. Of course, it wouldn't be reported. We have the issue here where Donald Trump is bad, Donald Trump is this, that Donald Trump is that. On the other hand, Donald Trump is making America great again. Other top story of the day, we have an explosion just outside of Times Square in New York. Let's get the very latest here on KIDO Talk Radio from Fox News' Rick Leventhal.
What I have been told by law enforcement sources is there was, in fact, some sort of explosion below ground, apparently in a pedestrian walkway at the Port Authority bus station or in that vicinity of 42nd and 8th Avenue. There were initial reports of a suicide vest. That's been unconfirmed. Also reports of some sort of pipe bomb. The type of device still not confirmed, but there was an incident. There was some kind of explosion. And the suspect, the person who detonated that device, is in fact in custody. I'm told that he was likely injured when the device exploded.
You know, it would be nice if we could take the time off during the holidays, during Christmas. By the way, let's not call it the holidays. Let's call the season for what it is, the Christmas season. Christmas, Christmas, Christmas. And yet here are these terrorists that want to destroy us, that want to kill innocent people. And thank goodness we have the wonderful first responders, that we have the wonderful military, we have the outstanding president, that it calls it for what it is, radical Islamic terrorism. And again, that's what we're hearing out of New York. There was a link to ISIS. More on that coming up. Congressman Peter King, we'll hear from him in a minute. But first, traffic and weather together.
New York is always on high alert because it is the number one terrorist target, certainly in this country. there's been over 20 attempted attacks in New York City. And again, we're just, last year we had Chelsea. Last month we had the down by the World Trade Center. So they are on high alert. And right now, I think it's too early to come to any final conclusion other than there certainly appears to be at least terrorist inspired. And it's important that before anyone gives out the name of this person, rather than tip anybody else off, to do is, again, do a dragnet, do a full court press, to really just run this down all the way.
And there we have it, the continued reaction to this terrorist attack in New York City. Here is Mayor de Blasio.
When we hear of an attack in the subway, it's incredibly unsettling. And let's be also clear, this was an attempted terrorist attack. Thank God the perpetrator did not achieve his ultimate goals.
And this is a reminder. And I don't know if we in Idaho, we in America can ever really understand the psyche of these individuals. At 580-5436, 580-KIDO, I'm just glad that we have Donald Trump in office and not Hillary Clinton. That we have Donald Trump in office and not Barack Obama in office. One of the biggest tragedies that happened was the Fort Hood shooting, where we had Major Nidal Hasan, who committed those terrorist acts, killing those innocent people, those folks in the military that didn't have weapons. It was not a fair fight. And I still remember the female Army military police person that took him down along with others. And these vultures are cowards. They don't fight fair. And the reason why that I'm so thankful that we have Donald Trump in is he calls them what they are. You remember what President Obama called that? Workplace violence. Workplace violence. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? And for 8 years, we had an administration that was so busy focusing in on spying on Americans and taking away our civil rights that the terrorists ran amok. Jim in Star, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning. Yes, that was considered a workplace incident, Kevin. And those things do happen in the workplace, and it has nothing to do with what religion the person is or whether they follow Islam or not. So I hope you can back that kind of judgmental comment, back that down a little bit, maybe even offer an apology. Yeah. Well, it's just like everybody's jumping the gun again, and they want to, assume that this is a terrorist and in New York, and it could be anything. It could be a power issue. It could be a faulty generator. It could be a battery that blew up. Why do we have to jump the gun and assume that it's a terrorist? And why do we have to say that it's probably a Muslim when, in fact, 99% chance it is, but that's just very offensive.
Well, sorry to wake you up being offensive, but here's what we have here at KIDO Talk Radio. We have the footage showing the moment the pipe bomb malfunctioned and explodes prematurely, injuring the ISIS-inspired Bangladeshi, 27 years old, wearing a suicide vest.
Oh, okay. So
it was premature bomb.
So now we know he was wearing a vest of some sort, and that somebody else on the right, the evil villain right side, to call this guy out as wearing a suicide vest. Gosh, it just seems very premature to make statements like that, Kevin.
And I know you're just having fun with us, Jim.
But doesn't that sound like the left, what I'm doing? Could I not go on any of the talk shows and say and talk like that and be paid night after night to contribute and play that game?
Except when Mayor de Blasio calls it a terrorist attack.
Yeah, Kevin, this stuff is sick, man. It is so sick. And it's, you're right. Thank God we do have a president. The faults he has many, don't we all? But he's not scared to call the situation for what it is and call these people for what they are. And it's never going to work. It's never going to mix. And all of you clowns driving around the Treasure Valley with your coexist bumper stickers and refugees welcome, you guys are clueless. and you know, you need to get out of this state for sure. Very irritated, Kevin, and obviously that was all sarcasm in the beginning, and I just had enough of it. Oil and water don't mix. They need to go. I've been saying this for years, and people, you know, act like I'm crazy, but most people understand. But what are we going to do, Kevin? Do you have any answers? What are we going to do? Because this isn't working.
Continue to support the president.
You're right about that, but scratch Lindsey Vaughn off of that list of supporters. If you haven't read her latest, she's not going to go to the White House. She's not down for Trump. He's too offensive for her.
Actually, we covered that last week. Glad to see you're tuned into the program.
I am. That's probably where I heard it.
Complete with the sound of her doing that. And unfortunately, then Miss Vaughn suffered a back injury.
Yeah, poor thing. She you know what? They should call her the flying squirrel because she jumps from one guy to another faster than a flying squirrel jumps through the forest. But, yeah, I've just had it, Kevin. I can't overemphasize the fact that we have to stop denying the fact that certain cultures can mix because they clearly can't. And hopefully someone will drop the ball, or not drop the ball, but drop the bomb on those idiots, and we can move on. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Jim. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. And blessed to be a part of your day. Here we have folks coming back for Christmas, folks getting ready to head out. Our top story nationally, a terrorist attack in New York City foiled, thankfully, to the incompetency of the terrorists. That's right. We have confirmation. This guy was a 27-year-old Bangladeshi who was not down with America, put a pipe bomb around himself, but the pipe went off prematurely. It went off in an underground tunnel linking Times Square, the subway station there, which is, very busy, and the Port Authority bus terminal Monday morning. He's in custody. He's not feeling well because he blew himself up. He's been here for 7 years. Now, how can we discuss this at 580-5436? Well, what's been happening in the last 7 years? His name's Aqid Ullah. Was it 7 years last 8 years we've relaxed the standards of getting into America? Haven't we allowed folks to come in without properly vetting them? When we take a look at the foreign policy of the previous administration that just kind of rewrote and tore up the Middle East peace, well, are we surprised? Are you surprised? Apparently, a former New York Police Department Commissioner, Bill Bratton, said the suspect supposedly was setting the device off in the name of ISIS, and he wanted to hurt as many people as possible. Again, it detonated prematurely. If it had gone off as it would have been a catastrophe. 3 people have been rushed to local hospitals, minor injuries like ringing in the ears and headaches. Now you have the incident happened just days after the president sparked demonstrations across the country by recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital city. One of the largest demonstrations took place in the Muslim majority known as Bangladesh. No coincidence there, is it? 580-5436, 580-KIDO. This is why I think the president is totally right when he's talking about a travel ban, when he's talking about keeping America safe, vetting these folks and keeping them from doing harm to us.
The FDNY, NYPD, FBI, all agencies are here on the scene, but the NYPD told me about a half an hour ago that they had very clear surveillance footage of what happened here. So they're going to be going over all of that to try to determine what may have gone wrong. As for the suspect, he was taken away in an ambulance with a very armed police presence as well, guiding that ambulance in the eastern direction. So unclear exactly what hospital. We were hearing Bellevue. But again, they went on 42nd Street and headed east toward the east side of Manhattan, transporting that suspect who was injured when this detonation took place.
There we have it. Here we have this person that wanted to kill as many Americans as possible in New York City. What does this tell us? Lone wolf, coordinated attack? Like the president says, they want to kill us. What are we doing about it? Taking the fight to them, calling them for what they are? Now, the liberals will say, well, the president should have never moved the embassy. He should have never recognized Israel's capital. He should have just been a good little President Trump, like George Bush, like Barack Obama. And as I said for years, we are going to continue to feel the ramifications of what Obama did to this country. By the way, here is the police commissioner, James P. O'Neill, from our friends at Fox Radio. By the way, when you hear Fox News on the radio, you're listening to the source of Fox News, the Fox affiliate, KIDO Talk Radio.
Police were called to a reported explosion. Responding units found an injured 27-year-old male. We've identified him as Akayed Ullah, Akayed Ullah. He had burns and wounds to his body. Preliminary investigation at the scene indicates this male was wearing an improvised, low-tech explosive device attached to his body. He intentionally detonated that device.
Right. Here's the other one. Maybe the federal judges or the district judges or the circuit judges or even Judge Judy should take another look at their unfortunate, boneheaded decisions of not allowing Donald Trump to enforce the travel ban. Here is Mayor de Blasio.
When we hear of an attack in the subway, it's incredibly unsettling. And let's be also clear, this was an attempted terrorist attack. Thank God the perpetrator did not achieve his ultimate goals.
There we have it. Liberal Mayor de Blasio admitting that this was a terrorist attack. Well, I thought everybody would come in, would be peace, love, and understanding in America today. Now, remember how big this area is. It's bigger than the entire state of Idaho when you're talking about population. Now, we can go on and try and make excuses for this demented, twisted 27-year-old Bangladeshi. But on the other hand, he wanted to be a martyr. He wanted to kill many of our fellow Americans right before Christmas. These folks don't have a heart. We can't understand them. We can only seek to destroy them. Ronnie in Caldwell with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Ronnie.
Hey, dude. Sorry to hear about the bad news over there. Doesn't sound good. I know. Maybe you should get a posse together and go round some of those guys up and take them to the desert.
Okay.
I know. Hey, I was calling about the guy that tried to ram the courthouse downtown. Did you hear about that?
Yes.
I know. And he did it. He did it in like a Honda Civic or something. If you were going to ram something, wouldn't you use like a monster truck or a big Jeep or something like that?
Or a Hummer, yes, I would agree with you.
Dude, that's a great choice. I didn't even think of it. Man, that's probably the best choice, Millie. I should have thought about that. Probably go with the original H1, huh?
Yes, not the H2, the H1.
Go with the real one, like when you were in the military, the kind the real men drive. You know, most of the time, the people that get a Hummer, they're pretty lame. You know, they're trying to be all tough and stuff. But the real Hummer is the H1. You always got the answers.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far, yes.
So I'm just saying, that's pretty funny, dude. If you're going to go ram a courthouse and drive into the fountain and you're just in a front-wheel drive Honda Civic, I don't know what that guy was. His name's Locksmith. Do you know that?
Yes.
He was thinking about getting in the front door, and he couldn't find the locksmith. I'm sorry, dude. I had to do that one. Is this the part where you say I gotta go?
Do you want a self-report?
Do what?
Tea Party Bob, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. How are you today?
Not bad, and you?
Well, you know, we have another bomber. Well, actually, he seems to be a dumber bomber since he exploded himself, too. You know what happened in New York City?
No one likes to explode prematurely.
No, there you go. If you say so. You know, what happened in New York City today is just another reason to understand that these terrorists will never stop trying to reach their goal of instilling a constant fear in the American people, hoping to change the way we live our lives. I don't think they will ever understand that Americans are not your typical targets, and we tend to respond in a different way than most other people around the world. We live in the only country that believes in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we're not going to allow a group of fanatical, deranged terrorists change that way of life that we have lived for over 200 years. And one of the reasons we feel so safe is because of the extremely high quality of police and first responders, but also I believe that we have one of the few countries that has the ability to allow its people to carry firearms. And it, in and of itself, gives us a strong sense of security, knowing we can protect ourselves and our loved ones. No doubt they're going to continue to try and disrupt our lives, but I doubt that they will ever change the way of life with their continued attempts to terrorize us. It's kind of ironic that we have the liberal left fighting to keep the president from enforcing a travel ban, but they're the first ones to run for cover and complain how unsafe we are. And I have to say that I do have a much higher comfort level living in Idaho after having lived in New York City for 30 years. And most would not, and I would not move back there for all of tea in China. But I think we all got to remember that if you see something, say something, and be on your guard, because there's no place that you're really safe anymore. But that's been true for most of our lives. America is a free country, and people are allowed to do a lot of things here they couldn't do in other places, which does make us targets. And a great show this morning as usual.
Well, thank you.
How about the Christmas party? Are we going to do that this year?
You know, I've thrown that out, and not a lot of takers.
Well, I'm a taker. Actually, I'm a giver.
You self-reported you're a taker.
That's a give-and-take situation, Mr. Miller.
I just don't see a lot of people that want to do this year. You?
I don't understand. I'm sure you would get a crowd down there had you just put it up there for an offer.
Well, I did.
And nobody called?
You?
I'll get the whole gang together for you if you want to do it.
No, it's got to be organic. We can't, it's got to be organic.
Well, you know me. I only eat organic.
You can relate.
Wonderful as usual. Life is great in Idaho, isn't it?
It's a dream.
Well, you have a wonderful day today and stay out of trouble.
Thank you, Tea Party Bob.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio. Liberal Steve joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Liberal Steve.
Good morning, Kevin Miller. What a great show you have going today. You know, I come to the conclusion over the last couple of months that politicians, Hollywood producers, a lot of big CEOs, some way up there in the sky preachers, are more dangerous to individuals than guns as far as harm. Oh, glad I got that out. I feel better. All the problems they've been causing, their sexual harassment and all their other crazy stuff going on. We got some sick politicians, you know. And that bomber, oh, God, that was so great that it went off early. A lot of people could have been hurt. And, you know, it's never going to end. Hopefully it's like this, where mistakes are made and it gets caught and saves lives, or it goes off in their hands before they get a chance to do anything. I just wish we could wipe all the bombers out in one big sneeze. It'd be nice, but that's fantasy. It isn't going to happen. It'll keep coming. It'll keep coming. What do you think is going to happen over there in the Middle East with Jerusalem now, the capital? You know, when I'm looking at those protests, they don't look that big. I mean, if you were up they don't show anywhere they're flying over up in the air like in a helicopter looking down. They don't look like that many people, and they all look like young punks that should be in college or school throwing rocks and everything. They're acting out. They're just acting out, and they probably don't even know why. You know what? I don't know why. This could be the best opportunity for peace in the Middle East after everything settles down, I think. That they finally accept it. Say, yeah, okay, we accept it. Now let's move on. Don't you?
I was just listening to the review and commentary of the news here.
Oh. From me or from another ear?
I'm only listening to you.
Oh, okay. Give me a commentary. I'm sorry. I get a little carried away. You know how I am. I'm sometimes upside down, sometimes right on. But I think I'm right on. I think things will clear up over there if they can just stop Iran from coming into Syria and building the roads going into Syria and stuff and keep them at bay. What's going to happen over there in North Korea? What's going to go on? Are we going to go in on the ground or are we going to go in the air?
No, were you lonely? Did you miss me over the weekend? Because it just seems like we're having a personal conversation.
Well, I'm asking all you and all your listeners out there. What do you predict?
Oh no,
seems like it's just tick, 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 tick. I see your girlfriend's ratings went way down.
My girlfriend?
Yeah, Megan Kelly.
Well,
ratings are coming in, and I think she's going to get the boot.
No one's sorrier than I am, boss.
My wife says she's never seen a woman talk so much with her hands as she is that Megan Kelly.
Well,
my wife can't stand her.
This has been a riveting call.
Well, Kevin, it's like just talking over the picket fence. You're taking the garbage out, and I stopped you on the way, and we just chat a little bit. That's all it ever is to me.
Well, we appreciate your time, sir.
Prosperity, and hey, are you going to Return of the Jedi?
No.
You're not a Star Wars fan?
The old Star Wars, too politically correct for me.
Oh, our friendship has just ended.
When Luke became a girl, that was it for me.
Oh God, our friendship. We cannot have a friendship unless you're a diehard all the way, Kevin. I'm sorry.
All right, it's official. Time for traffic and weather together. And we go to Alice in Boise with Kevin Miller at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Alice.
Yes, Kevin, I just heard, I just wanted to know about this Christmas or New Year's or the holiday season get-together with you, Kevin, and the radio station. And I'm interested, and I think it was Tea Party Bob that mentioned something about, is there anything, and I just wanted to know that I was interested about getting together. What do you have to do? Say that you're interested in attending, or?
Well, usually every year we've had a Christmas party that, the radio station, they just kind of let us run wild and free, and we invite everybody down during the program to come on and run wild and free. I don't think we had one last year because the year before we had people actually pilfering the desks of the broadcast professionals. And, I threw this out there and I said, look, I don't know if we're going to have a Christmas party this year. And I had crickets. And we've had, maybe 3 or 4 people express an interest. But, Alice, on one hand, it would be great. On the other hand, when you throw a party, you got to have hors d'oeuvres. You got to, set the table. And like I said, besides you and maybe a few others, I really haven't heard a lot. But I'll mark you down as interested. And we'll announce that on the air if we do it.
All righty, thank you, because I've missed it, and I'm like, what a great way to get together, and I'm like, I'm here, and I would like to attend.
Yes, ma'am.